There are places in the world where the line between a fairy tale and reality seems to blur. Sintra is exactly one of those places. Most people come here for a quick selfie with the famous bright colors, but if you're willing to leave the beaten path and step into the mist, you'll discover a completely different side. I decided to leave the crowds and buses behind and explore the forgotten trails, ancient walls, and beautiful gardens on foot. It's a place of extremes, from deep underground wells to vivid colors towering above the trees. In this video, I'll take you along to this mysterious place and make a sincere attempt to capture its soul in a single day. Welcome to the legendary Sintra. I visit this place on a beautiful, sunny first day of March. While Sintra almost buckles under the crowds during the summer months, this is the time when the mountains seem to breathe again. And that crowds aren't there for nothing. In the 19th century, this small town was a playground for kings and artists who had their dreams built here amidst the rugged nature. Because it's easily accessible by train or car from the capital, almost every visitor to Lisbon makes a stop here. But while most people take buses or tuk-tuks up the mountain, I choose the Sassetti Trail. The path is fully integrated into the natural landscape, making use of the massive granite boulders that are characteristic of this mountain range. You walk here among waterfalls, giant ferns, cork oaks, and walls and trees covered in thick green moss. This makes the trail feel like a true fairy tale, especially in the lower sections. The path passes by Villa Sassetti, built between 1890 and 1894 on commission from an influential hotelier. For a long time, the villa remained in private hands but fell into disrepair. After years of neglect, the municipality purchased the estate in 2004, after which Parques de Sintra restored it. The main goal was to open up the gardens and this trail, giving hikers a free and beautiful route from the historic center to the top. And they certainly succeeded, because this stunning trail also leads me to the walls of the Moorish Castle, where I arrive just after opening time. After a walk of about 1.5 kilometers, with an elevation gain of roughly 200 meters, the first walls of the complex come into view. Covered in thick green moss, the place immediately breathes a special atmosphere. The path leading to the entrance is also stunning, with wide views over the valley. From the gate, I begin my route along the walls of this ancient fortress. It was built in the 8th and 9th centuries, when the Moors from North Africa occupied the Iberian Peninsula. It's therefore no coincidence that it's called the Castle of the Moors, one of the few remaining Moorish fortresses in this region. It was constructed entirely on the rocks, with the walls literally following the shapes of the granite boulders. Walking along these ramparts gives you a unique glimpse into the past, when soldiers patrolled here day and night. Unlike many other castles, this one was surrendered in 1147 without a major battle to the first king of Portugal. After Lisbon had fallen, the Moors in Sintra realized that resistance was futile. By the 19th century, the castle had fallen into ruin. The king, who also commissioned the nearby Pena Palace, decided to restore its walls. His vision was to create a romantic, medieval ruin that would blend perfectly into the landscape. From the battlements, you get a spectacular view of that later-built palace, my next stop. Unlike the other structures in Sintra, this is not a place of luxury, but of survival. From these walls, no ship could approach the coast unnoticed. Even today, it remains a place where the wind seems to carry the stories of 1,000 years of history along its walls. From the castle, it's a short walk to the higher-located palace that I had already spotted earlier. Along the way, you immediately notice it getting much busier, as many people come to Sintra specifically for this palace. The closer you get, the more the palace reveals itself through the trees, each time from a different angle and in a different light. And then I find myself standing at the foot of this enormous palace, a stunning display of color. Unlike the Moorish Castle, where your day ticket allows flexible entry, this palace requires you to book a time slot in advance to go inside. Once inside, you can explore the beautiful halls and rooms at your own pace. The palace has a long history. As early as the Middle Ages, a small and quiet monastery stood here, which, like large parts of Lisbon, was almost completely destroyed during the Great Earthquake of 1755. For a long time, it remained a ruin until King Ferdinand II of Portugal purchased it in 1838. He wanted to build a summer residence here for himself and the Portuguese Queen, Maria II of Portugal, one that would reflect the grandeur of Portugal. The king, of German origin, hired a German architect, and together they created a design that was considered almost insane at the time. In that sense, the story is reminiscent of the fairy tale king from Germany, Ludwig II of Bavaria, who built the enormous Neuschwanstein Castle, a place I have visited before. The palace became the ultimate example of 19th century romanticism, a mix of everything the king admired. You will find Moorish influences, the typical Portuguese Manueline style, as well as Neo-Renaissance and Gothic elements. Even the exterior colors were carefully chosen. Red represents the old monastery section, and yellow represents the newer palace wing. A fun fact is that over time, the colors had almost completely faded, leaving the palace looking nearly gray until it was restored to its full glory in 1994. For many people, this was quite a shock, as it suddenly looked very different from what they were used to. While it may seem very crowded outside, it is relatively calm inside, allowing you to explore the beautiful rooms at your own pace. Outside, you will find the remarkable Triton Gate, with its intimidating sea creatures symbolizing the boundary between the underwater world and the earthly realm. It is a tribute to Portugal's dominance at sea. It is a magnificent palace that feels like an explosion of color, as if a child with boundless imagination sketched a castle and a king brought it to life. Surrounding the castle, a park has been laid out across the mountains. From the palace, I first walk past the Temple of Columns, which was built in 1844 and was a gift from the king's father. A little further along stands a remarkable statue on top of a rocky outcrop depicting a medieval soldier. Where the Moorish Castle was guarded for centuries by real knights, here a symbolic knight was placed, the eternal guardian of the park and the palace. Not far from here lies the highest point of the mountain range, Cruz, Alta. At this spot, 528 meters above sea level, stands a stone cross, and it is the place where you get the famous view of the palace. Although the trees block much of the view, you can still just see the palace rising above the treetops. From this highest point, I slowly make my way back down along small, narrow paths through a green oasis of trees, plants, and thick moss. It is not a natural park, but a carefully designed landscape. In total, it covers 85 hectares, and you can wander here for hours along all the hidden trails. Because the mountain is often covered in mist and is very humid, plants and trees thrive here, giving it an almost tropical rainforest feel. The king even had exotic trees and plants brought here, such as sequoias, ginkgos, and giant tree ferns. At the foot of the hill, near one of the park's exits, lies the Valley of the Lakes. This series of 5 lakes, connected by small waterfalls, is one of the most beautiful spots in the park. The king did not create this valley randomly. It was designed as a serene and picturesque place. It is surrounded by enormous trees, such as sequoias, which reflect in the still water, giving the entire place a sense of calm. In the ponds, several duck houses have been placed to provide shelter for the animals. Some are designed like small castles in the middle of the water, clearly showing that the romantic style was carried through to the extreme. Even the animals were given their own little castles, making you feel as if you are walking through a living fairy tale. I leave the park and descend back to the town via the Sassetti Trail. Since it is now the afternoon, you immediately notice that the trail is much busier than in the morning, when I was walking here almost alone. After a walk of about 1.5 kilometers, I arrive at Quinta da Regaleira, a palace dating from the 20th century. This relatively small palace is mainly known for the park garden that surrounds it. The owner was a very wealthy Brazilian Portuguese entomologist who had a strong fascination with alchemy, Freemasonry, the Knights Templar, and the Rosicrucians. This eccentric figure created a garden filled with occult symbolism, designed by an Italian architect and opera set designer. It is therefore no surprise that the entire estate feels as if you have stepped into a film set or a theatrical production. The icon of the park is the initiation well, although it is not actually a well, but an inverted tower descending into the ground. The staircase has exactly 9 platforms, referring to the 9 circles of hell, purgatory, and paradise. It is believed that this was used for initiation rituals of the Freemasons, where one would descend into darkness and then walk back toward the light through underground tunnels, symbolizing death and rebirth. Throughout the park, you will find many remarkable features, from round towers to waterfalls, as well as a labyrinth of tunnels and lakes. From the various towers, you get beautiful views over the park, and also of the Moorish Castle that we visited earlier in the video. Even the small chapel on the estate is unlike what you might expect. It is filled with heretical and esoteric symbols, making its true purpose somewhat mysterious. The palace itself is quite small compared to Pena Palace, and you can visit several rooms where references to alchemy can also be found. This practice, the transformation of lead into gold, also symbolizes the growth of the human soul. Quinta da Regaleira is more than just an estate. It is a place where symbolism takes center stage. Every shadow hides a secret, and every stone tells a different story. Whether you believe in the rituals of the Freemasons or simply enjoy the overwhelming architecture, one thing is certain: this mysterious place will stay with you. I have spent the morning and afternoon mainly in the mountains. Now it is time to spend the final hours exploring the historic center. Although it feels more like a city because of its many palaces, castles, and estates, Sintra has officially remained a village, with the allure and visitor numbers of a world city. The historic center is relatively small, yet it is here that you still find the narrow streets and authentic shops that give the town its unique atmosphere. In 1995, the village, along with its surrounding landscape and monuments, was even designated as a cultural landscape by UNESCO. It is a true combination of history, architecture, and nature, something that is incredibly unique in its kind. At the heart of the center stands the Igreja de São Martinho. This church partially survived the Great Earthquake and still contains Romanesque elements mixed with later reconstruction. But beyond this beautiful church, the most iconic landmark in the center is the Palácio Nacional de Sintra, located on the main square, the Praça da República. Originally a Moorish palace, it became the favorite summer residence of the Portuguese kings after the Christian reconquest in 1147, thanks to the cooler climate in the mountains. This palace was also largely spared during the earthquake, preserving much of its original medieval and Manueline structure. Moorish influences are still clearly visible, especially in the layout with its courtyards and fountains. It also houses the world's most important collection of mudéjar tiles, known for their intricate geometric patterns. Inside, you will find some stunning rooms, including the Swan Room. This is the largest hall of the complex, once used for receptions and banquets. The ceiling consists of 27 wooden panels, each painted with swans wearing golden collars. The most impressive room is the Sala dos Brasões, also known as the Coat of Arms Room. It features a magnificent octagonal dome decorated with the coats of arms of 72 Portuguese noble families. The walls are fully covered with 18th century blue and white azulejo tiles depicting hunting scenes. It is incredible to experience this room, especially while walking through it alone, a truly unique moment. Besides the beautiful rooms and halls, the kitchen is also remarkable. It features 2 massive white cone-shaped chimneys, each 33 meters high, designed to carry away the smoke and aromas of the grand feasts prepared in the palace. These chimneys have become a symbol of Sintra and make the palace even more special. In a way, they are the medieval version of an extractor hood, something you will not find anywhere else in this form. As the sun slowly begins to set, I take one last walk through the palace gardens, which offer beautiful views over the square, the village, and of course, the Moorish castle high up on the mountain. Sintra is truly a unique place in Europe that has amazed me in every way. It is not just a day trip, but a journey through a living fairy tale. You will find so much history and remarkable architecture here that it is a place you simply have to visit at least once in your life. Whether it is the vibrant colors of Pena or the hidden mystical details of Regaleira, this is one of the most magical places in Europe. In the next video, I head inland to visit the UNESCO city of Évora, which feels like a true open-air museum. Do not forget to subscribe to follow the rest of my journey, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I am, of course, very curious to hear what you think of this special place. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.